is an NCC alumni and Omaha native that is well known in Omaha for giving back. After securing her barber's license almost 10 years ago, Shannon made it her mission to care for people in her community through her haircuts. Every year, Shannon provides free back-to-school cuts for students and volunteers at the home shelters. Shannon opened Omaha's first Black woman-owned barbershop, Heavi Hitters, in 2019. Shannon has been featured in several podcasts. She shares her journey, business insights, and passion for personal growth. Proud recipient of the Nebraska Certified Fund, Shannon was able to secure funding to expand her business brand in Nebraska, and we welcome and enjoy Shannon Jackson, owner of Heavi Hitters barbershop.
Thank you so much. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Good. Well, as you said, I'm Shannon Jackson, one of the first female Black-owned women to open a barbershop in the business area in Omaha. Like you said, also, I opened it in 2019, and it's my second shop. My first shop, I had a business partner. I opened up in 2017. Right after we graduated. So today I'm going to share a little bit about my story, about becoming a business owner, what it means to me, why I decided to do it, and the path that I've taken. So, as many people ask me, who am I as a barber? Like you said, I'm in the community first, and I think that when you are someone who's responsible for how someone else looks, your role is very important in the community and in the world. It's a big part of how you show up, and me being a person that's responsible for that with my colleagues, people that I work with, it's very important. It's very important. We are the people you come see for marriages, funerals, you come see us for gatherings, you come see us for your school, you come see us for the first day of the rest of your life. So my barbering, I decided to get into barbering. Well, let me back up some. I actually, I started cutting hair at a very early age. I started off with cutting my brothers, my dad, my cousins, siblings, and this is something that goes way back to when I was around the age of 4 or 5. I was curious, I grabbed some clippers and I shaved down one of my teddy bears, and I got in trouble for it. So that's really where the beginning of this started. Make sure I'm staying on track here. 2 questions I like to ask whenever I'm talking to students or people who are working on figuring out what they want to do in the future is, what is your why? What is your why? That's not something you have to answer out loud, but something you need to think about when it comes to the career choice that you decide to follow, and what does your future look like, because it's in your hands, and this is something that you have to decide now, and you're in, like you said, you're in a great place to do deciding and figure out what path you want to take. Sorry, I'm following my cards. I started taking clients actually when I got in high school. So as I said, this is something that's been on my heart since I was a child, and in high school I was one of the barbers who was cutting hair in school, braiding hair in the classroom. I definitely got in trouble a couple times for it, but it was something that people in my classmates would come to me and ask me to do. After getting really experienced with starting with my family, my brothers, cousins, and stuff like that, I started to become good at this. Now, when I was in high school, this is not something that I looked at as a career. This was something I looked at as fun. And I wanted to become a psychiatrist. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to become a psychiatrist. That's what I wanted to do. So I enrolled at UNO immediately after high school, and I finished with a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. I immediately wanted to get my feet in the field, so I decided to get in the field of psychology afterwards. Now, all throughout working on my bachelor's, all throughout high school, there were still people who would hit me up every single week to get their hair cut. At some point in some time, I had clients that was consistently being billed for the last 15 years of my life. But again, I stuck to, I wanted to work on psychiatry, I wanted to become a psychologist, and that's where my focus was at. So I got into the field. But getting into the field, I was, again, still cutting hair. I'm working with kids at this point in a dual diagnosis program. And in this program is where kids had mental health issues, trauma, and it was an in-house program, kind of connected to Boy Sound, very similar to Boy Sound. And in there, one of the kids found my social media, found out that I cut hair, and was like, hey, we don't want to go to sports clips, we want you to cut our hair. So when I was working in the psych facility, I started cutting kids' hair there. So again, it was something that I just could not get away from. Now, moving fast forward a little bit, eventually that job, I couldn't do it anymore. It was emotionally heavy. It was something that was very traumatic, even for me, just hearing the stories of what these kids and these people had been through in their life. It was too much. It became too much. So what I decided next was, I'm gonna go to barber school. Because this is something that I just cannot get away from. It's been following me my entire life, and a lot of times what you're looking for is right there in your face, a lot of times. So I decided, let's do barber school. And I went around searching, talking to people, doing research, started off talking to my parents, my siblings, and I'm like, yeah, I really want to do this. Now, where I come from, barbering and hair was not really like a big career or anything that was well respected. A lot of my family members were like, wait, you're supposed to become this great psychiatrist. You're supposed to get into mental health. And I'm like, it's just not on my heart. If I continue to do this or if I follow this path, I feel like I'm not going to be happy. And again, I still have people messaging me about getting their haircut. So let me truly explore this as a potential. So I decided, let me go to CHD. CHD is the barbering school in Lincoln. At the time, there was multiple reasons why I chose this school. First, they offered a master's in barbering. If anyone knows anyone who's in barber school or in hair, they no longer offer that program. That was something that was very temporary. It ended 2 classes after I graduated. So as of 2020, now they just offer a regular standard barber's license. The big difference here is that when you become a master barber, you get 2,100 hours, and a regular barber is 1,800 hours. Now, in other states, it holds a lot more weight. Here in Nebraska, it's pretty standard. I've learned more, I've known more, and I've put more hours in on my license it says master. Now, when you're a regular barber in other states, the weight that it holds is your potential of being a business owner and actually opening your own barbershop. Here in Nebraska, there's no law stopping a regular barber, I'll say standard barber, from opening their own shop. In other states, you have to be a master barber in order to have certain people working underneath you or with you. So that's the big thing. Another choice that I had to make was if I was going to move out of town and go to barber school. Again, there was more convenient because I have family out of town. I could have saved money. The program was way shorter, like 7 months. But again, it just kept on. I kept hearing it in the back of my mind, just be a master. If you're going to do something, be a master. Go at it, give it your everything. If you're going to give it a try, give it an actual try. So I finished the 2,100 hours. The tuition for that, if anyone is interested or even thinking about it, starts around 20 grand. Now, as you all know, you're in school now. There's other financial options and financial aid that you can be eligible for in order to finish a program like that. My requirements to graduate when it came to barber school were very tedious and very, very, very hard. Only because coming from high school to regular college and then barber school, where you guys are now, you got it good. Barber school, you could be 60 seconds late or you got sent home. And when I say 60 seconds, I mean 60 seconds. If you clock in at 8:01 a.m. and they find by 8:30 when they do their checks, they'll come find you at the breakfast table and say, go home, you're not getting your hours for today. Now, I appreciate the strictness of how that was because it really helped me manage my time. Time management is everything, and that really helped me manage my time, especially with being a business owner now. That is where I kind of got a little more fire behind me to be like, time is very important. I'm working for you, you're working with me. If you're one of my clients, I guarantee within 10 minutes grace period, I'm on time, you're on time. If you're late, you pay. If I'm late, I pay. So that's something that I learned while being in barber school. When I began, graduation, here we go. When I began, so after graduating barber school, I completed my 2,100 hours. Boom, I immediately started working with someone who owned the shop. He reached out to me and he was like, hey Shan, I see that you've been posting all over social media. We want you in our shop. I see that you're talented. I see you've been doing it for a long time. It didn't last 3 months. It did not last 3 months. I don't know all the details of why he didn't continue to keep the shop, but the landlord who owned the building approached me and was like, it's time for you to go. I'm sorry, it's not working out with me and the business owner and I'm cleaning up shop. And before she walked out the door, she turned around and said, by the way, before I go, have you ever thought of owning your own barbershop? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I would love to. I would love to be a boss. She's like, well, this space is about to open up, so you got 30 days to let me know if you want it or I'm posting it. Call my mom immediately. She's like, hey, you've been saving? Maybe you should do it. Maybe this is God giving you a sign. So I called one of my friends who we had been talking about opening a barbershop, which is so crazy. I called him, I'm like, hey, do you got your money? Have you been saving? He's like, yeah. I said, well, this shop is happening a lot sooner than we think. He was like, what do you mean? I gave him the address, he pulled up, he was like, let's do it. Immediately we get into rolling, we sign a lease, we start our shop, and this is the beginning of our shop. We literally had, this is the front, those 3 chairs, mirrors, we had a shampoo bowl. We had literally the minimum requirements to open a barbershop, which is running water, a shampoo bowl, chairs that operate and spin that you can keep 5 feet apart. I still don't think these chairs were 5 feet apart. But mirrors, and then we had to have posted hours. If you can see this little white piece of paper in the back, we literally started off by posting our hours on a piece of paper that we taped to the glass. So when people walk past, they could see these are the hours of the shop. So humble beginnings, absolutely for sure, humble beginnings. Now, when we started off, of course, part of organizing a business is learning and doing research and figuring out how to do it the right way. So we had to figure out, okay, we want to hire people, we want to charge booth rent, we need to make sure we're able to pay for this space, and we had zero education. I'm telling you, we went in here completely blind. All we knew was we had chairs and clippers and a sign posted with the hours. Luckily, by the grace of God, people started flowing in. People started flowing in from him. He brought his own clientele. I had previous clientele. I had family. A lot of people came out. We did a grand opening. We had a lot of support in the beginning. That's another big thing. When figuring out what you want to do, make sure your support team is solid. That means the world to whatever you decide to do. Whether it's a nurse, a doctor, an electrician, your support system is a part of your life. And it means the world, absolutely. Now, when I got to a turning point, because I started realizing that we knew nothing. Now, me and him, we got along, thankfully. We did pretty good with each other, but instead of it being a business partnership, we treated it more like brother and sister, which was completely unhealthy and unprofessional, but you live and you learn. So when we had no experience, no business plan, no organization, eventually we started to create, there was a wedge that started to be created between me and him, because I was the one who was curious. I wanted to be better, do better, I wanted to change. I'm like, yo, we need to grow on a bigger shop. Like, I'm feeding all these dreams into him, and he's just like, I mean, I like it here. I can smoke in the parking lot, I like it here. You know, like, it just, and he's still successful right now. He still kept his shop once we split. So it was a peaceful split. We sat down, we had a meeting. I'm like, hey, listen, all respect, I think it's time for me to move on. Just because the way that I'm thinking and how I'm dreaming of the next shop is not something you want to do or have an interest in, I would hate to be the one to try to force you to be something that you're not. So peacefully split. Boom. Here we go next. Now, my beautiful wife right here, Aaliyah, she was a part of the reason why I decided it was time to move as well. Because having these same dreams, she's like, you do want a bigger shop. This is something you can't do. It's within arm's reach. Let's figure it out. How can we do this? We started searching for buildings, started looking around. The new shop is literally 2 blocks from the old shop. And it's crazy how it happened, because one of my clients came in and she actually started a lease in the building, and she's like, Shan, how are you doing it? How do you have an audience in here? How do you have consistent clients? I'm having an issue getting people in my shop. So immediately I'm trying to help her. I'm like, hey, this is what you do, this is what we've been doing, but also we kind of still don't know. We're kind of learning with you. After about a year of her having this building, she comes to me and she's like, all right, Shan, I would like to go into business with you. I would like to be your business partner, because again, you still have this audience, you still have this clientele, you have this following, and I would like it at my shop. And it was on my heart. I was like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. The only way that I'm going to move to another building is if it's mine. She said, I'm gonna just go ahead and give it to you, because I can't. It was swallowing her. She couldn't deal with the finances and the clientele and the advertising and the constant demand for her to be a business owner when there was nobody in the building. And you just, it's just something you can't afford. After a while, if you drown, you gotta get out of there. So we find the new building. Here we go. She gives us the new building, I should say. And back to what I said earlier, when you want more, you do more, right? So immediately I said, I need to move different. I need to move different. Again, another client of mine is in my chair just talking. I started doing business plans for people on the side, Shan. I've been working at a bank for this long, and I can really help you out. Sat down with her about 3 or 4 meetings later. We sit down and we come up with a business plan. Business plan, 19 pages long. It felt like 19 years long, but it took about 3 solid months for us to sit down and really focus on getting this business plan together. I needed this business plan so that I could give a proposal to take over this lease. So now I'm doing it the right way. Now we're stepping into going through the right channels and avenues to actually be a business owner. Start off with a business plan. There's so many levels and so many different, I'll say, subjects that you have to execute when it comes to a business plan. We get approved. Bam. The building owner's like, hey, I love your business plan. This is what I'm offering. 3 to 5 year lease. I had no idea that this was a commercial lease. Mandatory minimum. I didn't know. Again, I'm going back to the drawing board, doing more research, more research, more research. It boils down to you really mastering what it is that you want to do and doing your research. Like sit down, really get to know what it is that you want to do. Find someone in the field, follow them, ask them questions. Do not be scared. Walk, if you want to be an electrician, walk into the next shop and say, hey, here's my name, I'm interested, what can you show me, what can you teach me? Volunteer, be open-minded to this, because you'll never know if this is something you want to do until you do it. And that's the biggest lesson I can give y'all today. Get in the field, walk around in the water, and figure out if you can swim. Because I thought I was going to be a psychiatrist. I couldn't swim over there. I could swim over here, for sure. So, moving forward, how did I do more? I researched. What I learned quickly is how to restart. You may have 3 or 4 restarts. You have to be comfortable with restarting. It is an uncomfortable process, but that is when you grow the most. Be comfortable with restarting. What you're deciding that you want to do now, it may not be it, and that's okay. For people around you telling you it's not, it's okay. Because the people telling you probably restarted a few times themselves. It's okay. 100%. With having this new shop and having this business plan with this commercial lease and everything, now we have to come up with marketing strategies and a name for this business. Another thing that came from my clients, everything you're looking for is probably in your face. One of my clients came into my old shop while we were in the process of moving. No one really knew that was the clients. We were just kind of silently moving. He walked in and he was like, dang, Shan, y'all really got other barbers in here. This is crazy. And I would let anybody in here cut my hair because you just got a team full of heavy hitters. Boom. That's where I got my new shop name, Heavi Hitters. It's stuck like that. We've been sticking to it ever since. Ever since. So, with this new shop, I decided I want to build a team. Now, right now, I'm almost 4 years in, and this is my 3rd team already. So, being a part of being a business owner is also learning that everyone does not work for you, everyone does not work with you, and you can't work with everyone. So we had to come up with a system of how to hire. Another thing my shop does very differently is we go through a process of interviewing, sitting down, talking to the people. We don't just say, oh, you can pay booth rent, come on in. No, we have certain requirements, we have certain education, and I put style up there because your style is a part of your aura and who you are when you walk into a room and how people see you. We wanted them to be a person that's presentable. You look professional. I don't need you to come in with a 3-piece suit and be the smartest person in the room, but we want you to look presentable. I want people to come into my shop and look at you and say, I can trust you professionally. I can trust that you're going to be on time. I can trust that you're clean. I can trust that you're cleaning your clippers. And I can trust that you're going to take care of me in a professional manner. Perfect. Was able to do that. Rules and regulations. This is the one why we're on our 3rd team. Because people have problems with rules and regulations. Now, I try to keep it very simple in my shop. The rules and regulations are, you communicate, you are on time, and you are professional. That is rare. No matter what field you go to, that is rare. So be the different. Be the one that communicates. Be the one that shows up on time. Be the one that's professional. You will stand out. No matter what you do, you will stand out. If you can be on time and professional and communicate, if you're having issues or communicate with your coworkers, if there's something you need help with, Or even say, hey, I'm running a few minutes behind. I had a family emergency. I'll be there when I can, but I'm just letting you know in advance that this is what's going on. You're going to stand out amongst the millions. Just by being on time, you'll stand out. Now, the crew that I have now, amazing. Like I said, this is the third crew. We have vetted. It almost feels like we have put them through boot camp, but it is something that not only they appreciate, but we appreciate. We call them hire all the time. We come with contracts. We send them to places. Like she said, we do volunteer. We do give backs once a year. We're making sure that we're giving back to the community, and we're making sure that they're skilled and talented. They can cut your hair, they can line your face up, and they can braid your hair. I have somebody for everybody in the shop. We have 2 licensed cosmetologists, and we have 5 licensed barbers. 3 of the 5 are master barbers. So we have somebody for everybody. My barbers do perms. My barbers can color. My barbers use razors. My barbers clean their clippers. My barbers know how to use shears. They know how to do texturized cuts. They can do a crazy ball fade. They can do a crazy taper. These are people that I've had to build. And what's crazy, y'all, is the team got complete 2 months ago. We're just now getting a complete team. We're just now a full shop. So it takes work, time, consistency. It's hard work, but it's so worth it. For anybody considering being a business owner, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. You're going to work for somebody else for 40 hours a week, go home with your paycheck. You're going to work for yourself probably 100 hours a week. But the amount of money and the amount of relationships that you can build working for yourself are timeless. It's timeless. Here is the new shop. This is a preview of where we're at now, what we're looking like. This is our new logo, Heavi Hitters crown, that's 2022. This is actually my station, back in the corner. And we all have matching cakes, we all have matching chairs. Black and gold is the theme. We're organized, we're on time, we are professional. The entire setup of my shop and how I wanted it to be welcoming. I wanted it to be professional. I wanted it to be clean. And we are able to maintain this because we communicate back to the original, because we're on time, and because we're professional. It takes work to build up those 3 qualities, but when I tell y'all it's life-changing, it's life-changing. I have went from making about 20 grand a year to clearing over 100 grand per year, professionally, on time. And that's it for today, guys. I thank you all so much. Q&A.
Do we have any questions?
Well, I don't have a question so much as I do have a comment. I moved here 13 years ago. I was a cosmetologist, and when I moved here, I wasn't doing hair then when I moved here, but when I went looking for a barber, I had one of the most hardest times finding a barber, and it was because I would walk into salon shops, and they wouldn't say anything. They wouldn't say, "Can I help you?" There were times I would walk in and they would say anything, and I needed a haircut. So I just sit down and I'm thinking, somebody's gonna say something.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't get that. And so I stopped going to barbers. I started cutting my own hair. I've been here 13 years now. And in the whole 13 years, prior to COVID, I found one young lady. And I just stick with her through that, and after, but we kind of fell out, lost connection, I would say. But when you mentioned about how you wanted your clients to communicate to be professional, that was very important because there was no professionalism in a lot of salons. Beauty salons, they weren't clean. I would go in places, and because I'm from Anchorage, Alaska, and we had very, very strict rules. They just stopped in the salons. You never knew when they're coming.
The state?
The state. Always had their things going on. And when I moved here, I was like, what's going on? What is the state doing? Why are these people communicating like this? Those were all those things going on. So I'm glad to know that, one, you're educating your employees. Because by you educating your employees, it always helps you prosper also because you become like-minded.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's always been very important to me too. Even walking into any business, being greeted. That is the beginning of professionalism. Why would I'm in here working, you walk in, I'm just No, immediately it should be, hey, how are you doing? How can I help you today? Do you have an appointment? Are you in for a walk-in? And that's how I tell everybody. As soon as someone walks in that door, and if I catch them not doing it, I walk up. Hey, how are you doing? I'm showing by giving the example. So I'm doing it in front of them consistently. I've actually had people come up to me and say, it's crazy, Shan, just coming in here, the fact that you greet me is different. And that for me was mind blowing. I'm like, that's crazy. But standards, you gotta have standards. Absolutely. Any other questions?
I have a question. I like what you said about shifting. Like, don't be afraid to shift, to change. And I'm wondering, like, can you see your bachelor's degree, everything you studied, can you still see that working in your career now?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If they have a joke in the shop that I'm a therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, that's still on my back for sure. And I have clients who've been coming to me for 15 plus years who have cried in my chairs. I've been there for people when they have lost their loved ones, went through a divorce, a child has passed away. Like, we have seen everything. A part of being a barber is absolutely being a therapist. Being a business owner, you have to be a therapist. I have people, coworkers come to me, lost a brother a little bit over a year and a half ago. You know, you have to have a heart. And I feel like that's where my psychology degree kicks in. Absolutely. And then dealing with people who come in who have mental health issues. That's a very real thing, especially in barbershops. There's a lot of people who might bring people from other facilities who are dealing with their own traumas or have their own mental health. We have autistic clients. We have everybody, all walks of life. So absolutely, I'm using psychology here with you today.
If you don't mind, can you repeat the question too? Because we're recording it. They don't have the mic out here. Just when if they ask.
Actually, repeat the question.
No, if they ask the question, just repeat it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Other questions?
I have a question. What was it like being a woman entering into kind of like a male-dominant industry?
Okay. So the question was, what was it like being a woman entering into a male-dominated industry? Very hard. In the beginning, it was very challenging because as a woman, being in a male-dominated industry, you're immediately looked at as lesser than, or not as talented, or not as experienced. And I've had to prove myself multiple times. Even to this day, I still have people who will walk in, older men especially, and they're like, I don't want a woman to cut my hair. That's fine. I have male barbers. You can go to them. Your preference is your preference. But it's definitely been a challenge. But we've been doing our best at going against the grain and continuing to provide quality, continuing to kill these cuts, continuing to be professional, on time, improve ourselves. I've had a lot of men sit in my chair, and I was the first woman to ever touch their hair or cut their hair, especially when it comes to like beard work. And that takes some time to learn. I'm a woman, I don't have a beard. A lot of men are very particular about how they like their beard. Now, that's one of my specialties. Now that is somewhere where not only do I think I'm good, I believe I'm elite in that field. Because knowing that someone is questioning your talent or doubting you should make you go harder. Every single time. If someone's questioning you and telling you there's something you're not good at, go harder. Go crazy. That's your amp. That's your fire. That's what you should use. Because you can be whatever, and you can be nice at whatever, but focus on it.
I don't want to hog up all the questions. Any other questions? Come on, guys.
How old are you?
I am 33.
32.
Birthday next month, actually, October.
I have another question. When you were going through getting your business established, what was your absolute low, and how did you overcome that?
Oh, so the question was, when I was starting my business, what was my absolute low, and how did I overcome that? How did I overcome that? So I've had multiple lows. I've had a few. I'm trying to think of which one I could share that's tailored to the business.
Rather than a low, like a challenge.
A challenge, okay. A challenge. Okay, so financial, absolutely. With doing all of this transition, like I said, at one point I was making about 20 grand a year. That's almost $0 nowadays. But I had to seek funding. So a part of being a business owner is making sure that you handle your taxes so that you have a paper trail of your income. That was the first thing I had to make sure I had a paper trail of my income so I could qualify for business funding. With qualifying for business funding, I used that same business plan. I went to Nebraska Enterprise Fund, which is still well and alive and thriving with plenty of funds to give to business owners. And I sat down with the business coach and I told him exactly what I wanted to do. He sent me back home and said, okay, I need your proof of income, I need your business plan, and then I need you to tell me exactly the target market area and how are we gonna make sure you keep these funds coming in to where you can afford this. Went through, did the full application, got approved for 20 grand to open up Heavi Hitters. So business funding was definitely one of the most challenging things. I think that with sitting down with one of my clients who helped me build my business plan, and then taking the plan to not only the commercial building for the lease, but then taking it for funding, was two of the biggest challenges that I had. Only because there was a lot of go back home and get this, go back home and grab this, go back here and get this. We need to see your paper trail, we need to see also your Cash App, your Venmo, your PayPal. We need to make sure this is organized because I want to get you approved, but we need to make sure you can actually afford paying back a business loan, which I'm proud to say is about 90% paid off. But yeah, funding. Funding is something that I think that if you're looking into starting your own business, everyone should get into using someone else's money within reason. Make sure it's something that you can afford because it's definitely worth the moves.
Any other questions? Well, I have one last question.
Okay.
What is the future for Heavi Hitters?
What is the future for Heavi Hitters? That is a loaded question. Like I was saying earlier, I'm always a person that's thinking bigger and better. So I would just leave it at bigger and better.
Last words of wisdom to our future leaders of tomorrow.
Last words of wisdom to my people. Oh, we got a question right here.
Are you looking to expand your business?
Absolutely. Always.
Next question.
Absolutely. Was I looking to expand my business? Absolutely. That's exactly what I guess I can give you a little more context with bigger and better. I definitely would love to open up another shop. I would love to open up a chain of shops. Actually, scratch that. I'm going to open up a chain of shops. I'm going to open up a chain of shops. That is next. That is next, for sure.
You were talking about knowing when to restart. Like, how did you go about restarting? When you chose, like, when you were a psychiatrist and you were like, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. How would you go about that?
So her question was, how do I go about knowing when to restart, and how do I go about restarting? Okay, so that's a good question. Well, for me, restarting was traumatic. For me, restarting was heartbreaking. Restarting was painful. Restarting was disappointing. I was disappointed in myself because I'm one of those people where when I have my eyes on something and I want it, I'm gonna go get it. So when I was able to accomplish my bachelor's and go to psychology and then get in the field, in my mind, I'm like, I'm taking all the right steps. Everything my counselor in school told me to do, everything my parents told me to do, I'm doing it. Why am I unhappy? That was my first sign of knowing it might be time to restart. The unhappiness, that was the biggest thing. I realized that the field that I was in was something that I needed to be educated on, but I didn't need to work in that field, if you know what I'm saying. I needed to know about people who go through psychosis. I needed to be aware of mental health disorders. I needed to be aware of how to communicate with people who may be challenged, who may have some type of emotional inability or have, their own personal trauma. I needed to be aware of that for my business. So realizing that in the moment that you're in, the season that you're in, it's okay to be curious and open-minded. Because the biggest part of my heartbreak was that I was 100% sold on psychology. I was 100% sold, and I was like, there's nothing else I want to do. I want to become a great psychiatrist. I want to do this, that. Also, it's okay for you to be multiple things. It's okay for you to have 3 or 4 careers, 3 or 4 businesses. If you want to learn how to become an electrician, you want to learn how to do HVAC and do hair, you can do that. And I felt in myself, because I wasn't open-minded to being more than one thing, is why I felt that I was almost hindering who I could be. Like right now, this is getting into speaking. This is another one. I'm currently in another restart, but it doesn't mean I'm letting go of Heavi Hitters. It just means I'm reaching a new level. So whatever it is you're doing now, if you feel like there's something else you can do, girl, do it, because you can. Any other questions? You said my last words of wisdom, right?
Last words of wisdom.
Last words of wisdom. Stand out. Be different. Be yourself. Absolutely challenge what needs to be challenged. Question everything. Trust yourself. And remember, you can always be more than one thing. Be on time too. Be on time. Stand out. I'm telling you, that extra 30 minutes, we live in Omaha, Nebraska. It takes you 10 minutes to get to a place. You should not be 30 minutes late. So yeah, stand out. Be yourself. Keep exploring. Keep exploring. Y'all are so young. Y'all are in this field or whatever field y'all deciding to explore in. Keep learning. Keep growing. Don't stop. And that's all I have for you today.